In this series of videos, we're going to take a look at the process of using the Ultimate Ads plugin to get AdMob ads using both Construct 2 and Construct 3 on your Android mobile games. We're going to go through the whole process of setting up and using the Ultimate Ads plugin, exporting the game with Cordova, and building the APK with either Phonegap or Cocoon. With the Ultimate Ads plugin, we can set up banner ads, interstitial ads, and rewarded videos. Let's take a look at what we'll be building using some test ads. We start out on the title screen, where we've got a banner ad displayed. If I tap on the screen, the banner is dismissed and the game begins. If the player dies, an interstitial ad is displayed. Once the interstitial ad is dismissed, we're returned to the level to play again. Last, if we tap on the player, a rewarded video is shown. We can dismiss the video, and we're returned to the level. But if we let the rewarded video complete,
Hi, this is a rewarded video test ad. Nice job getting it loaded and displayed. In a couple seconds, the video will end, and your app will get a reward callback. In 3, 2, 1.
the player is rewarded by being sent to the next level. We'll run through the whole process from start to finish, so you'll know exactly how to get AdMob ads running on your Android games. This will require the Ultimate Ads plugin, which you can find in the Sierra store. I'll include a link to it in the description. First, we need to add the Ultimate Ads plugin to the project. Once you've got the plugin installed, double-click anywhere on the layout and scroll down to Monetization. From here, we'll select the Ultimate Ads plugin, hit Insert, and it's added to our project. Now that the Ultimate Ads plugin is added to the project, we can check out the properties we have available. First, we've got two sections of properties, one for Android and one for iOS. This is where you enter the ad ID when you want to show live ads. We'll cover the setup of AdMob ads later, where I'll show you how to generate the IDs you need to place here. But for now, we won't need them because we'll be using test mode, which you can enable or disable here under testing. With test mode, we can use Google's AdMob test ads instead of using live ads. Remember, when you export the game to be uploaded to the Play Store, you have to disable test mode, and you have to have ad IDs entered here for live ads to run and for you to make money. For now, I'll go ahead and set test mode to enabled. Let's move on to the next video, where we'll look at setting up our first ad, the banner ad on the start screen. Let's set up our first ad using the Ultimate Ads plugin. We'll start out by adding a banner ad to the title screen. Banner ads usually appear at the top or bottom of the screen and prompt users to visit websites, install apps, etc. We're going to add the banner to the start screen, just above the title, and we'll dismiss it when the screen is tapped, right before we go to the next layout. Let's switch to the event sheet and set the banner ad up. We want to display a banner ad at the start of the layout, but we can't just display an ad right away. First, we need to preload the ad. This doesn't take long, but it isn't immediate, so if you try to display an ad before it's loaded, it will fail and nothing will be displayed. We need to preload the ad on the start of the layout, and then display it as soon as it's been loaded. Create a new event using the system object, and choose On Start of Layout. Add an action using Ultimate Ads, and choose Load Banner. Now, when the ad is finished loading, we need to display it. Ultimate Ads has an event for this. Add another event using the Ultimate Ads object. We want to use the OnBannerLoaded event. It's pretty self-explanatory, but this event fires off as soon as the banner is loaded. Once the banner is loaded, it's ready to be displayed, and we can display it by adding an action using Ultimate Ads and selecting the Show Banner action. That's it. Now, when this project is built using Phonegap or Cocoon, the banner ad will be displayed in test mode. Unfortunately, you can't see it in action when you preview the layout here. Only once you build the release APK that can be installed on a mobile device. Last, I'd like to dismiss the banner just before we go to the next layout. I have an event set up here so that after the player touches the screen, they are sent to the next layout, level 1. Let's add an action under this event using Ultimate Ads and select Hide Banner. We need to drag this up above the Go to Layout action. So, when the layout is loaded, we preload a banner ad. As soon as the ad has finished preloading, we show the banner. And finally, when we start the game, the banner is hidden, and we go to the next layout. That's how easy it is to get a banner ad set up on your game. Again, if we try to preview the game, you won't be able to see the ads. You have to build the project for mobile before you can see them in action. We'll take a look at how to build the game later, but for now, I've got a finished build here. And this is what our banner ad looks like with test ads. Before we move on to the next ad type, I'd like to quickly run through the events and actions available to use with banner ads. Most of these are really self-explanatory, but let's run through them and see what we can do. If I add an event and choose the Ultimate Ads object, we've got 7 events we can use with the banner ad type. We used onBannerLoaded, which fires off when the banner is loaded. But we've also got isBannerLoaded. This will check if the banner is loaded. That way, you can check if the banner is loaded at a later period of time, not just as soon as it's finished loading. IsShowingBanner will return true if the banner is currently being shown. OnBannerClicked for when the user clicks or taps on the ad. OnBannerDismissed for when the user dismisses the banner. OnBannerFailed, which will be triggered when the banner fails to load. And OnBannerShown, which is triggered when the banner is shown. If we add an action using the Ultimate Ads object, we can load, show, and hide the banner. Also, we can use setBannerLayout to place the banner at the top center, the bottom center, or a custom XY position. Alright, that covers everything. Let's move on to the next ad type, interstitial ads. The next type of ad we're going to set up is an interstitial ad. Interstitial ads are full-page ads that appear in your app at natural breaks or transition points. This is commonly used at the end of a level or when a player dies. We're going to display an interstitial ad after the player dies, and when the user dismisses the ad, we'll let them restart the level. I've got a layout set up with a basic platformer level. Our player can die by falling off of this ledge when they leave the screen. Let's switch to the event sheet. Just like with all ad types, we need to preload the ad before we display it. The easiest way to do this is at the start of the layout. Let's add an event using the system object and choose onStartOfLayout. Add an action using the Ultimate Ads object. Under interstitial, we only have 2 options, load interstitial and show interstitial. Right now, we want to load an interstitial ad. I already have an event set up, being triggered when the player dies. I'll drag it down below the onStartOfLayout event. We need to check if the interstitial is loaded before we display it, but I've got a sound effect that plays when the player dies. I want that sound to play regardless if the interstitial is loaded or not. So, we need to check if the interstitial is loaded in a sub-event. Right-click the onDestroyed event and choose Sub-event. And select the Ultimate Ads object. We've got 2 events here, isInterstitialLoaded and isShowingInterstitial. We'll use isInterstitialLoaded. Then, we want to add an action using Ultimate Ads and select Show Interstitial. When the player dies, we check to see if an interstitial ad is loaded, and if it is, we show the ad. Last, we need to restart the layout after the ad is dismissed. Add an event using Ultimate Ads, and we've got a bunch of options under interstitials. They're all really self-explanatory, but we can check if the interstitial is loaded, if it is being shown, if it is being clicked, if the ad is dismissed, if it fails to load, when it is loaded, and when it is shown, we want to use onInterstitialDismissed. Add an action using System and choose Restart Layout. When you restart the layout, this onStartOfLayout event is called, and another interstitial ad is preloaded. It's pretty common to use interstitial ads without restarting the layout, in which case you'd want to preload another ad just after you show the interstitial. So right here, we could add an action using Ultimate Ads and select Load Interstitial. Basically, you're creating a loop. On the start of layout, load an ad. When the player dies, show the ad, then reload another ad. The player dies, and the new ad is shown, and so on. We'll go through the build process later, but for now, here's how our example looks running in the emulator. When the player falls off the ledge and dies, the interstitial ad is shown. If I dismiss the ad, the layout is restarted. That's how easy it is to set up an interstitial ad. Just preload and then display it whenever you'd like, and then preload again. Let's move on to the last ad type, rewarded videos, where completion of the video will trigger a reward for the user. The last type of ad we're going to set up is a rewarded video. A rewarded video is a full-screen video ad that can be used to trigger a reward after completion of the video. If the user dismisses the video before it's completed, they won't receive the reward. This can be useful to give players in-game currency, unlock items, or advance to another level. Here, we're going to set up a rewarded video to play when we tap on the player, and when the rewarded video is completed, we'll send the player to the next level. The first thing we need to do is preload the ad at the start of the layout. I already have an onStartOfLayout event, which we set up in the last video on interstitial ads. I'll add another action to it, using the Ultimate Ads object. And I'll select Load Rewarded Video. Now, we need to add an event for when the user taps on the player sprite so we can play the video. Add an event using the Touch object, and choose OnTap object. For the object, select the player, and click Done. Before we show the ad, though, we need to make sure that the rewarded ad is finished loading. So right-click the Touch event and add another condition. Using the Ultimate Ads object, and select Is Video Loaded under the Rewarded Video section. Then, let's add an action using Ultimate Ads and select Show Rewarded Video. Now, if the user exits the ad before it's complete, they'll be returned to the level. But once the user completes the video, we need to give them their reward, in this case, sending them to the next level. Let's add another event, using the Ultimate Ads object. Under Rewarded Video, we've got a bunch of options, all of which are pretty easy to understand. We can see if a rewarded video is being shown, if the video is loaded, if the video failed to load, when the video loads, and when the video is shown, completed, or stopped. We want to give the player their reward for completing the video, so we'll use onVideoCompleted. In our case, the reward is going to the next level. So let's add an action using the System object and choose Go to Layout. I'll enter Level 2 and hit Done. In this case, we would then preload another rewarded video on the start of layout in Level 2. But if you wanted to give the players something else, like in-game currency, and they stay on the same level, you'd want to copy this Load a Rewarded Video action and paste it into the onVideoCompleted event. That way, you preload another video right after you complete the previous video. To see what we've got in action, we need to build the project in Phonegap or Cocoon, which we'll be doing later. But for now, I have a version of the game built that we can preview on my emulator. When we tap on the player, a rewarded video is shown.
Hi, this is a rewarded video test ad. Nice job getting it loaded into...
If I dismiss the video, we're returned to Level 1. If I tap the player again and let the video complete,
Hi, this is a rewarded video test ad. Nice job getting it loaded and displayed. In a couple seconds, the video will end and your app will get a reward callback. In 3, 2, 1.
we're rewarded by advancing to level 2. In the next video, we'll take a look at how to set up AdMob ads and get ad IDs for each of the ad types available. In this video, we're going to go over the process of getting AdMob ads set up so we can enter the ad IDs into the Ultimate Ads plugin and get live ads on our game. The first thing you need to do is go to admob.com and sign up. After you sign up, make sure to click on Payments and set up a payment method. If you want to get live ads on your game and make any money, you have to set up your payment method. Once your account is set up, click on the Apps tab and add an app. My app has not been published on Google Play or the App Store, so I'll click No. Here, you can enter the name of your app and choose Android or iOS. I've already created an app for this tutorial, so I'll go back, but on the next screen, you'll be given your app ID. Now that we have our app set up, we can create some ads to use within it. Under your new app, click on Add Units, and then Get Started. First, let's create a banner ad. I'll go ahead and name it UA Banner, and click Create Ad Unit. Once the banner ad has been created, we can take this ID here and paste it into the banner ID property. Easy enough. Now, let's create our interstitial ad. Click Create Another Ad Unit, and this time select Interstitial. Again, all we have to do is enter a name. I'll use UA Interstitial. And click Create Ad Unit. Use the second ID, and this time paste it into the interstitial ID property. Last, we need to set up our rewarded video, so we'll create another ad unit and select Rewarded. I'll enter UA Rewarded for the name. We've got a couple extra options, but you can just leave those to their defaults. If you click on Advanced, however, we have an option for frequency capping. It's set to Disabled by default, but if I set it to Enabled, you can see it allows us to show no more than X impressions per user per X minutes, hours, or days. So basically, if you want to limit the number of times a video is shown to a user, you could enter Show no more than 1 impressions per user per 60 minutes. Then they'll only get shown 1 ad per hour. Or you could set this to no more than 10 impressions per user per 1 day, limiting each user to 10 rewarded videos per day. You can use frequency capping on rewarded videos and interstitial ads, but not on banners. I'll set this back to Disabled and click Create Ad Unit. Again, we'll take this second ID and paste it into the rewarded video property in Construct. Now, we've got our 3 ads set up, 1 for each type. Don't forget to set testing mode to Disabled before you export so that you'll get actual live ads in your game. Even if you have ad IDs entered here, if test mode is set to Enabled, you'll only be served test ads. In the next video, we'll take a look at exporting our project for mobile with Cordova. Now that we've got all 3 ad types set up in our project, banner, interstitial, and rewarded video, we need to export our project from Construct. Since we're creating a mobile game, we need to use Cordova to export the project, and then build it with either Phonegap or Cocoon. Before you export your project, make sure to fill out all of the information in the About section. Make sure your project has a name, version number, description, ID, author, email, and website filled out. Once you've got everything filled out, click on Home and choose Export Project. From here, we want to choose Cordova and hit Next. Here, you can choose where you want to export your project to. I'll just export it to a folder on my desktop. You can leave everything else as it is. If you want your script to be minified, you can leave this box checked. This plugin does allow the script to be minified. I'll click Next. Now, if you have Use New Intel XDK project format selected, go ahead and uncheck it. You can set any permissions you need to use and how you'd like to export the audio files. Down here, under Minimum Supported OSs, we can set the minimum version of Android or iOS that we want to build for. If you choose below Android 5.0, a crosswalk file will be added to your project, causing the file size to go up. Crosswalk is like a mini browser that's used on older operating systems to ensure a common user experience over different devices. I'll choose 4.1 and up, and click Export, and Construct will start to export the project. Once it's finished exporting, click Open Destination Folder. Here we have our exported project, but before we can build it, there's a couple things we need to do. First, go into the www folder and delete the Intel XDK.config XML file. We don't need it. Now, go back up to the parent folder. Here, we've got a config XML file, which contains the project settings that we filled out inside of Construct. If you're planning on building with Cocoon, you can ignore this file and skip this step. But if you're building with Phonegap, you might need to edit this config file. If you're only targeting Android versions of 5.0 and up, you don't need to edit the config file. But we're building for version 4.1 and up, and in that case, we have to edit the config file. Go ahead and open the config file with Notepad. First, we're building this game for Android devices, but if you're building the game for iOS, you need to change Android here in cocoon-plugin-ads-android-admob to iOS. I'll change it back to Android. When building for Android devices and targeting any version before 5.0, we have two processor types we can target, x86 or ARM. The default is to build for x86, even though the vast majority of Android devices use an ARM processor. x86 is used with emulators, however. If you leave the config file as it is, when we build it in the next video, it will build for x86. That's what you'll want to do if you're going to run the game on your computer on an emulator. But if you want to target ARM devices, which most likely your phone is, you'll need to add one line of code here at the bottom. Instead of typing it all out, I'll put this line of code in the description so you can just copy and paste it. You can't post angle brackets in the description, so the code will be missing its opening and closing brackets. So just enter opening and closing brackets, and then paste the code between them. And then go ahead and save the config file. The last thing we need to do before we move on to building our project is to add everything to a zip file. We'll be using this zip file to upload to Phonegap or Cocoon to build our finished product. If you're building with Phonegap, you need to include this config file in the zip folder that you upload. Just select everything inside the folder and add it to a zip file. This will be the file we use to build on Phonegap. If you are building with Cocoon, we don't need this config file. We'll be entering these details in ourselves on the Cocoon website. So go inside the www folder and select everything and add that to a zip file. This will be the file we use to build on Cocoon. In the next video, we'll take a look at how to export our project from Construct 3 and how to prepare it for being built on either Phonegap or Cocoon. In this video, we're going to take a look at exporting our project from Construct 3 using Cordova. This is the same project we've been using in the past videos. I've just imported it straight into Construct 3. There is no difference in setup other than the Construct 3 interface if you want to use Ultimate Ads in Construct 3 instead of Construct 2. Once you've got your project finished and you've set up the Ultimate Ads plugin to include your AdMob ads, you can export your game with Cordova. Click on Menu, go to Project, and click on Export. Go ahead and select Android Cordova and click Next. From here, you can choose to deduplicate images, which removes any duplicate images from your project. recompress images, which can reduce your file size but will take longer to export, and finally, minify script. I'll just choose to minify the script and click Next. Here, we can choose the minimum version of Android we'd like to target, as well as how we'd like to export our project under Android build. When using the Ultimate Ads plugin, we need to alter the config file before we build our APK, so you have to use Cordova project here. Go ahead and click Next, and Construct 3 begins building our game. This can take a while, so I'll skip forward. And now it's finished exporting. Download the zip file that Construct has created for us. Next, extract the files from the zip file. And open the folder. If you're going to build your project using Phonegap, you'll need to edit the config.xml file by adding one line of code. If you'll be using Cocoon to build the project, you won't need the config file at all, so you can skip the next step. If you are building with Phonegap, open up the config.xml file in Notepad. Make sure to open config.xml and not the config.json file. Unfortunately, this config script is minified whether or not you choose minify when exporting, which makes it difficult to read. But we don't really need to read anything here. Just add a line right after this platform tag, but before this closing widget tag. We need a line of code here to specify that we're using the cocoon-plugin-ads-android-admob plugin. I'll put the line of code in the description below, but I'm not able to put the opening and closing brackets in the description. So go ahead and put in opening and closing brackets, and then paste this line of code between them. Save the config file, and close it down. Now, if you're going to be building with Phonegap, you'll want to select everything and zip it up again. This is the file we will upload to Phonegap to build our APK. If you're going to be using Cocoon to build the project, go inside the www folder, select everything contained within, and zip it up. This zip file is what we'll use to upload to Cocoon and build from there. At this point, we're ready to move on to building our project for release. In the next video, we'll take a look at the first of two options we have using Phonegap to build our release APK. Now that we've got our project set up and contained in a zip file, we can now build the release APK. We've got two options for building the project, Phonegap or Cocoon. In this example, we'll be using Phonegap. We're going to use the zip file from the parent folder containing the config file. First, go to build.phonegap.com and go ahead and sign up. They have a free plan as well as some paid plans. With the free plan, you can only upload one private project at a time, and if you try to upload another project, it will replace the project you currently have uploaded. But that will be good enough for us to build our project. So, once you've got your account set up, go to the Apps tab. I already had the app set up previously, so I can't add another private project. But just click on the New App button. Here, there are two tabs, Open Source and Private. Click on Private, and then click on the Upload a Zip File button, and select the zip file we created for Phonegap. Once it uploads, it should take you to this page here. Since I've already got the project set up for testing, I need to upload the source code again so we can go through the build process together. I'll select the zip file that we created for Phonegap and click Upload. Now, Phonegap will try to build our project for iOS, Android, and Windows. But we'll get an error for iOS and Android. The reason why we get an error is because the app needs a keystore file to authenticate your app with your Google Play developer account. In the next video, we're going to cover how to build the game with Cocoon, but after that, I'll show you how to create a keystore file. The problem is, you need to have a keystore to build your app, but you need to build a debug version of your app before you can generate a keystore. A debug version of the app was compiled also, and you can find that right here. Go ahead and download this, and we'll use it to generate your keystore in a couple of videos. When you do get your keystore file, just click here and select Add a Key. You'll enter a title for this keystore and an alias, which will specify when we generate the keystore file. And you select the file that will generate here, and just upload it. Once you do, you'll have a keystore here, like I do. To build your app with no errors, we just need to unlock the keystore before we build the project. To unlock your keystore, click on this lock icon and enter your certificate password and keystore password, both of which will specify when we generate the keystore file. Once you enter them and click Submit Key, your keystore will be unlocked for 1 hour, and you can build your project without errors. Once the keystore is unlocked, click Rebuild. Once it's done compiling, you can download the APK by clicking this button. This is the file that you can install on your phone or emulator, or upload to the Play Store. I'll drag this onto my emulator, and it will install, and then I can open it up. And there we go, our compiled app with AdMob ads running on the emulator, using the Ultimate Ads plugin. I'm still using test ads because this app isn't meant to go live. But had I turned off test mode in Construct, I'd be getting live ads here. In the next video, we'll take a look at the second option we have for building our project, Cocoon. The second option we have for building our app is cocoon.io. Cocoon has a free plan as well as some paid plans, but the free plan will be fine for what we're doing. Go ahead and go to cocoon.io and sign up, and then sign in to your account. That should bring you to the home page here. Earlier, we created 2 zip files, one containing the game and the config.xml, and the other with just the game and no config file. Just drag and drop the zip file without the config file to create project. After the zip file uploads, you can see our project here. Click on Hello Cocoon, and that takes us to the project page. Here, we can fill in all of the details that were in the config file into this form. The bundle ID is what we have here under ID in Construct. com.todaystuts.ultimateads. Here you can set the version number of your app. Then we can set the name, which defaults to Hello Cocoon. I'll change it to Ultimate Ads. You can choose the orientation you want, and in this case, it should be landscape. Set full screen to yes. Up here, we've got an option for Web View Engine. We've got 3 options: Web View, Web View Plus, and Canvas Plus. Web View is the default HTML5 web view for mobile devices. WebView Plus is used for apps that need to access DOM elements or to create a more stable environment. This is often useful for apps, not necessarily for most games. The last option, Canvas Plus, is a custom web view that usually provides the best performance for games. This can add a substantial performance boost to your games, so make sure to try Canvas Plus out and see if your game performs better with it or with the other 2 web views. If you exported your project from Construct 3, Canvas Plus can sometimes cause screen flickering, so in that case, you'll want to try one of the other 2. I'm building this with my export from Construct 2, so I'm going to choose Canvas Plus. On the left, here, we have all the operating systems we can build for. Check Android, and make sure to save your changes. Next, click on the Plugins tab, and then on Cocoon. Since we have AdMob ads in this game, we need to enable the AdMob Android plugin. Scroll down to AdMob Native Ads for Android. If you're building for iOS, you'd need to include the AdMob Native Ads for iOS plugin right here. I'll select AdMob for Android, and then click Install, and then save your changes. The last thing we need to do is select our keystore to sign the app. We'll take a look at how to generate a keystore file in the next video, but to do that, we need a debug build of our game. We can compile a debug build here under Developer App. Just click Compile Developer App, and it will begin to compile. You can see its status up here, Android Dev App compiling. It can take a while to compile, so I'll jump ahead to when it's finished. Okay, the icon stopped blinking, and it says Android Dev App completed. If you click this icon, you can download a zip file that contains an x86 version and an ARM version of your app. Either of these can be used in the next video to generate your keystore file. Once you have your keystore, scroll down to Signing and select Android. Drop this down and choose Add a Key. Here, you need to enter a title for this keystore. I just called mine keystore, and enter an alias, as well as a certificate and keystore password, all three of which we'll create when we generate the keystore in the next video. Finally, you'll need to select the actual keystore file that we generate here and click Add to upload it. Once you've added your keystore to Cocoon, you just need to select it from the drop-down. Once it's selected, we can build our project for release. Scroll up and click on the Compile button here. Again, the icon will begin flashing, and this time it says Android compiling. We'll skip ahead, and once it's finished, the icon stops flashing, and it says Android completed. Click on the icon, and you can download a zip file containing an x86 and an ARM version of your game. I'll drag the x86 version onto my emulator and let it install. And our app works, with AdMob ads in an Android app built with Cocoon using the Ultimate Ads plugin for Construct. Even though we generated ad IDs for AdMob, I'm still using test ads since this app isn't actually going live. But if I had turned off test mode, we would be getting live ads and could start making money. In the next video, we'll take a look at how to generate an Android keystore file so that you can build your app and upload it to the Play Store. In this video, we're going to quickly cover how to generate an Android keystore file using Android Studio. There are other ways to generate your keystore, but this is the easiest way that I know of. First, you're going to need to get Android Studio installed. Then, you're going to need a debug build of your project. We covered how to do this in both Phonegap and Cocoon in the previous two videos. Once you have a debug build of your app, open up Android Studio and choose Profile or Debug APK. From here, select the debug build that you compiled earlier. Android Studio will open the APK up, and you'll have access to all of its files. But we don't need to touch anything in the APK. All we need to do is click on Build, and then Generate Signed APK. From here, you can choose Create New, which brings up this window where you can fill out all of the details of your keystore. Keystore Path is the location where you'll save the keystore file. Click here to choose where you'd like to save it. Next, we have Password. There are two passwords created in this keystore, and you need to know which is which. This password is known as the keystore password. On Phonegap, you enter this password second, under Keystore Password. And the same with Cocoon. It's the second password, Keystore Password. Make sure to enter a secure password here, and then confirm it here. Next, we've got Alias, which is just a way to refer to your keystore. The alias is what we'll enter here on Phonegap, or here on Cocoon. Then we've got our second password, which is known as the certificate password. It will be entered here on Phonegap, and here on Cocoon. Remember which password is which, keystore password and certificate password. You can leave validity to 25 years. This is when the keystore will expire and no longer be valid. 25 years is the standard. Last, just fill out your information here. None of this information can be seen by users of your app. Once you've got everything filled out, click OK. That's it. Now we've generated our keystore file, and you can click Cancel here and exit out of Android Studio. Now you can take this JKS file and upload it to Phonegap or Cocoon and use it to sign your app so it will be able to be uploaded to the Play Store. You only need to do this once. You can use this keystore file to sign all of the apps that you create. That covers the entire process of using the Ultimate Ads plugin to put AdMob ads into your game and building for Android devices. The APKs that we created are ready to be installed on users' devices, running live ads, and they are ready to be uploaded to the Play Store. Let's do a quick recap of everything we've covered in this series. First, we added the Ultimate Ads plugin to our project so that we could easily insert AdMob ads into our game. Then we added a banner ad to our title screen, an interstitial ad that is shown every time the player dies, and a rewarded video that allows you to reward the user for watching it to completion. Then we covered the process of getting AdMob ads set up, generating the IDs we need to put live ads in our game. After that, we took a look at exporting our game using Cordova for both Construct 2 and Construct 3. Finally, we covered how to build our project for mobile using both Phonegap and Cocoon. I hope this series has helped you to learn more about Construct and using the Ultimate Ads plugin to get AdMob ads in your games. If you found this series useful, please subscribe for more content and follow me on Twitter at TodaysTuts. If you want to help me create more content, please consider supporting me on Patreon. For $1 a month, you'll get early access to all new videos, and you'll help me keep this channel active. Thanks for watching. See you next time.